Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Oh, it's working. Okay. So I have a new laptop and I have been trying to figure out. See, this is why I have not been doing live streams, because it used to be that the live stream was set up. I could go into like, what is it? That Google webcam thing. Anyway, it used to let me do it that way. They changed it to where you have to have like a different platform. Anyway, I figured out how to do it with the webcam. So now I can actually do live streams, just fire it up and do a live stream now. So everything's good. Thank you to my wonderful husband, Jimmy, who picked out this laptop because it's working great. And so let's just jump into, yeah, I know I had a few false starts there. I didn't realize that was going on YouTube, but yeah, trying to be fine's here. Awesome. Yeah, but I really just wanted to talk about all this George Floyd police stuff. I've covered similar topics in the past. So, I mean, if you've been watching for a while, you know where I stand on this stuff. But yeah, let's just get into this because I'm going to try, hopefully. Well, let me do, it's not going to let me do share screen, is it? Nope. So I'm going to do the best that I can, considering I can't do share screen right now, but because I had all kinds of stuff set up to show y'all, but we're going to roll with it, see what we can do. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Krystal Ball and what's the other guy's name? Saagar, that's on the show Rising with her. Now, I know she meant well, and I know a lot of people mean well when they criticize the way that they're protesting, right? Hey, independent. So, and I get where they're coming from, because it's like, you know, a lot of people that criticize the protesters, right? They want to see them succeed. You know, some of them are doing it because they're racists and assholes and they're just going to find wrong wherever you do. But there are some people that say, you know, don't do stuff like that because, you know, we should all get along, or because, you know, it's hurting the cause. I've heard different reasonings for it. And I understand where they're coming from. But at the end of the day, man, you're talking about centuries of oppression on people. And I mean, you've got to say, out of all the years that all this racist shit's been happening, all the years that they've been killed, they've kept it peaceful. They've kept it peaceful. And even now, I wouldn't even call it violence. It's driving me insane that the people are calling this violence. It's not violence, it's vandalism, okay? Protesters do not have a body count. They haven't put anybody in the hospital. The only people with a body count so far are the cops. This is vandalism. That Target, I'm sure they're going to be okay. I'm sure Target's going to somehow make it through this horrible protest, right? Target's going to be just fine. Speaking of which, let's just talk about, we're going to talk about looting. We're going to talk about looting of you know, the American people. Let's talk about the stimulus bill that was passed. That was looting. This isn't looting. This is people angry and poor and desperate. That's what this is. That's not violence. That's vandalism. So let's look at the chat, see who's here. Jimmy from Montauk. Independent outsider, trying to be fine. Awesome. So what do we got to say? Protests cannot be reactionary. They need to be as consistent as possible. I get you. That's what I'm saying. I get you. I don't look, as long as they're not hurting anybody, that's where I'm at. You know, vandalism, I don't really care. I mean, as long as you're not hurting like people, right? Target's going to be fine. If you're looting a mom and pop store, that's not cool. Target, you know what, they're going to be okay. And who are we to criticize how they protest, right? Who are we? I'm sitting behind a computer in a nice house, you know, nice by most standards, but but I haven't been there. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what it's like to have my brother or my dad or my mom or cousin or best friend killed by a police officer. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to go through that kind of thing. So to go through racism on a daily basis, it happens. They tried kneeling. We tried. We had celebrities speak out on this topic. We have had, they've signed petitions. They have written their congressmen. They voted. They've done everything that, peaceful protests, marches, walks, whatever, name it. They've done it. They've done it all. The Black community has done all these things. They have done all these things. What has it done? It hasn't helped them any. Every single year, they are still getting killed by police. Every single year, they are still suffering systemic racism. Just here in West Virginia, Black people are like around 3% of the population, 3 to 4%, but they make up 30% of the jails. How does that work out? Racism. That's what it is. And nobody wants to call it what it is. Then I have about the police officer that's supposed to be keeping the peace that murdered a man in cold blood in the street, and his other officers that just stood by and watched it. That's not called violence. That's not called murder. I'm just the little tiny ways that they twist this stuff. Like on the news, they talk to a guy that on the bar underneath where it says who he is, it says man that was a witness to the arrest. That wasn't an arrest. That was a murder that we witnessed. That was a murder. It wasn't an arrest. That was a murder. He did nothing wrong. And even if he did, he's not the, judge, jury, and executioner. He's a police officer. He's not allowed to do these kind of things. And they make it seem like it's a Black problem. It's not a Black problem. Black people, when it comes to the percentages, they get killed more. But white people that think this is a Black problem, it really is not. Because white people get killed by the thousands too. But proportionately to the makeup of America, we're not killed nearly as much as Black people. But it still happens. And people and cops that stand up against this kind of thing, they get fired. There was a cop here that did not want to do suicide by cop. This guy was outside waving his gun around and all this stuff. And this guy, he had been a soldier. He knew the signs. He knew he was trying to do so. He had no violent intentions. He wanted to die. This was a man that wanted to die. And so he was trying to talk him down. And when his back showed up, blasted the guy away and killed him. And then the guy that tried to save his life got fired from the police precinct. So that's what happens when you try to do the right thing and you're a cop. That is the mentality of the cops. And yeah, they say there's a few good ones, and I hope they're speaking out about this, but I haven't seen anything on it yet. I'm not saying that it hasn't happened, but it would be great to see a bunch of other cops saying, like, this doesn't represent us. Here's what we're doing to make sure that, our communities aren't like that. The way that our cops get along with our communities. They know their community. They don't want to kill people in their community. Yeah, trying to be fine said, trying to make they need to make the protesters look bad. Yeah. And I've seen it to where they were talking about specifically the Advanced Auto Parts in Minnesota that was burned down, but the original photos show that it was a white person that was going around and busting windows. Because let's be honest, Black people knows what happens when you encounter a cop. White people don't. They still think that they still have some kind of protection from the cops. So they're the ones that are going out and starting this shit. Other people might join in, but the majority of the stuff that I've been seeing is that white people are going out and instigating this stuff, and they're not. They're there just as much as anybody else. These protests have been very diverse. You've been seeing old, young, Black, white, and everybody else that are showing up to this. So it's not, they can't just look at the Black community and blame the Black community for these protests and loots, and for the looting at least, you know. Anyway, let's go back to the chat. Protest, let's go back to where it was. Where a police headquarters that was damaged. Yeah, they burned. I'm going to sound like an asshole in this whole thing, but look, I had a picture of that happening, of the police department burning down. And honestly, not that I want to abolish the police or anything, but it was like an iconic sight, you know, to see the people rising up and fighting back against this crushing force. I mean, it was kind of beautiful to see. I mean, it is, just to see people. I mean, I know that they're angry and violence, you know, vandalism isn't the answer. But you know what? George Floyd isn't the only one, and his family isn't the only ones that are hurting. I mean, this is all across America. People of every race and gender has been affected by this. So, you know, I think it's great. I think it's great. They're not hurting anybody. So as long as they're not hurting people, do what you got to do, right? Because these are lives on the line. These are lives on the line that we're talking about. How many more are we going to discuss? George Floyd, Freddie Gray, Tamir Rice, and even people that aren't law enforcement get to kill Black people, right? With no repercussions. Look at those two, you know, hillbilly dumb fucks in the South that killed a Black guy for jogging, because they saw him and thought, obviously he's running from a crime, so he deserves to be killed. They didn't even go to jail until, you know, everybody started raising a fuss about it months after the fact. George Zimmerman. Okay, so you don't even have to be. Oh, and this guy that everybody's been going around praising for voting against the stimulus bill, the one that was standing up, the congressman from Kentucky. Yeah, he's the one that voted against the anti-lynching bill. So before we throw too much praise behind this guy, let's remember he also voted against the anti-lynching bill, because the people that are in office, no matter what kind of talk they talk, look at what they vote for. They're all full of shit. All of them. So let's go back to this. Yeah. Philando Castile. They were let go, right? Everybody gets let go. There's no repercussions. And their word is a law. They could say, well, I saw him draw a gun. I mean, we didn't have a gun. We didn't find a gun in evidence, but I mean, I thought I saw something. And their word is law. Their word is law. And they are some untrustworthy motherfuckers. And we're supposed to trust everything that they say? No, I want body cam. I want footage. I need evidence. Sorry if I don't believe you when you have every reason in the world to lie to us. I mean, there was a woman in Target that was there was a white woman in a wheelchair going around stabbing people in Target. That what the fuck? I mean, people have lost their minds. Like, she thought that she needed to step up because people were looting and start stabbing people. It makes me lose hope in humanity. I swear to God. Almost. Let's see. Let's go back to the chat. No, the cop didn't get killed. He just got fired because he was trying to talk that guy down, and he got fired because he didn't kill him immediately, because he was doing unsafe tactics that put his other people at risk when he was the one that was solely in there trying to talk him down. And then the backup showed up and just killed him. Okay, so we got, oh, hey, Grimmy the Clown, you're new here. I haven't, Chip Warren. Yeah. Zox is here. Oh, and oh gosh, Independent Outsider brought up an excellent point. police officers, the way police officers treat people with mental disorders is a major issue. So we could get into that. We could get into all the ways that policing is wrong, right? And this is a relatively new phenomenon. Compared to the racism in the police departments, you've got the mental illness aspect. And I would say that this is probably the majority of the calls that these people go on is mental illness, because you've got homeless people, because thanks to Reagan, we don't have the mental institutions that we used to before. So now all these mentally ill people are out in the street. And even if you weren't mentally ill, if you had economic situation where you lost your job, you lost your house, you lost your car, and now you're living on the streets, chances are you're not going to be mentally fucking sound from that. So, those people too, they're dealing with shit, big shit. Drug use. That's another thing that I think falls into mental illness, or domestic disputes, because these things happen when people are put into pressure cookers. You've got mental illness, poverty, and you put all that into a pressure cooker, and what do you get? Domestic violence. So yeah, a lot of these calls are mental illness. And if we had a better mental illness treatment plan here, or insurance facilities, then this would not be nearly as big of a problem for the police. And also, like I mentioned earlier, suicide by cops. You get all kinds of mentally ill cases. These people aren't right. They're not thinking right. You can tell they're not. And that should invoke empathy in the cops. That should be like, this is my community. Man, this guy's out here. He's really suffering. He's seeing shit. He thinks that all these people are conspiring against him. He's paranoid. He's got schizophrenia. Let's just help him out. Let's get him some help. But instead, they show up and say, blast him, blast him. I got to go home at the end of the night. Fuck everybody else. I got to go home at the end of the night, right? I got to stay safe. Since when has that become the police motto? I thought it was protect and serve, not I got to go home at the end of the night. If that's what they're going to live by, if that's their rules, they need to put that on the side of their car instead of protect and serve. Okay, because that's false advertisement. Because apparently all they're looking for is going home at the end of the night. I'm livid. Look, Jimmy's been hearing me bitch about this for a couple of days now. And he's like, just do a show. Just do a show. And I was like, I am. But first, let me just tell you about this. So I've had to get this off my chest, man. It's just stupid shit. It's just stupid shit abounds. When stuff like this happens and you got the apologists that want to say, well, you shouldn't do this. It's bad. Whatever. Literally, what you've got these people in a corner. What else are they supposed to do? They've done everything. So, Zoc said maybe the police burned it, to cover up evidence. I'm going to put it past them, man. Let's see. What else is chat saying? I'm trying to read through. Because if the people took it over and it wasn't on the fire, then they would have access to weapons and paperwork and files. That's true. That's true. If people just ran in there and started setting stuff on fire. First of all, if anybody ran in there and there was a single cop in there, their ass would be dead. Let's just be honest. That had to have been started on the outside. Nobody ever went in there because they would have been killed. So it had to have started on the outside. Once the police and military actually stand up and refuse to participate in these abuses. Oh, God, I'm so glad you said that, Indy. Because when you see these photos and the videos from all these protests, which way are the officers facing? Which way? If they are truly here for us, why is it that they are always facing us? Why aren't they by our sides ever? Why don't you ever see protests where the cops are on a side? Where they're helping us, where they're fighting for their community, but you don't. They're always facing us because they're fighting us, because we're the problem. Policing our community for people like us that start shit, that say shit. That's why. Sorry. Okay, back to the chat. I get up on my soapbox, man. Because people have taken over. Okay, so independent, once the police and military actually stand up, Yeah, that would be the day, man. I mean, this goes back. It's not just this one. I mean, you go back to Dakota Access Pipeline. I mean, every single protest that we witnessed in the past 5 years. Do you ever see cops on the other side of it? Ever? They're always the ones keeping us down. It's just the way that we do things is totally wrong. They should have way more training. They should have training at heavy intensity. Since we're not doing anything to help the mentally ill in our community, we should at least have cops that are trained to know how to deal with them. They should have, instead of a backup with a gun, they should have a backup with a degree in psychology, right? To know how to talk to these people and know how to help them and know what, like, oh man, this guy's got schizophrenia or this guy's got bipolar, we should put him in this program, that program. But they don't, because it's all about putting people behind bars. And if you can't put people behind bars for slave labor, then they're of no use to the capitalist system. And that's why you kill them in the streets. That's why the police kill them in the streets. If you cannot be of service as a slave in the system, then you need to be murdered. Plain and simple. Oh yeah, and Jimmy brought this up. He said that there was a guy in the same city, in the same state. He was a black police officer. I think this happened like a year or two, maybe 3 ago, and he accidentally killed a woman, shot her. And he got 12 years in prison for that. So I would like to see that same energy applied to this man, because accidentally shooting someone, that's a spur of the moment. That is something in that moment that, we can look at the evidence one way or the other. But this guy knelt on somebody's neck until they died. That is not a moment of insanity. That is somebody wanting you to die. That is literally somebody. I mean, that's not even like a physically easy thing to do, right? I mean, you're fighting a man and you're trying to keep your knee on his neck and keep him down, and you're fighting him for like 10 minutes. I mean, that's how long it would take for you to kill somebody like that. And he, for 10 minutes straight, was like, just die already, just die. I mean, that's what these people do. It wasn't, I thought I was in danger and I pulled a trigger. He literally stood on him until he died. I cannot think of a worse way while people are standing around and somebody's got their knee on your neck. You can't breathe. You're helpless. And there are people standing by, and an officer hired by the state is the one killing you. It's just insane to me. So we got, who else do we have here? No, Grimmy the Clown put up a good point. The anti-lynching bill is the elites trying to make blacks think that they're doing something for them. Exactly. Because let's get into this. Let's get into the whole, you got to vote Democrat because racism. When you have Joe Biden as your candidate, please, Democrats, tell me how you're going to do something for the black community. When you have Joe Biden, crime bill Biden, segregationist Biden, you have Anita Hill Biden as the pick. Because it wasn't a democratically thing. He was not democratically elected. We all know that. Bernie bowed out and gave it to Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's now supposed to be the savior of the black community. It's not going to happen, because the Democrats, look, the last time we had an election back in 2015, 2016, the DNC leak showed that they told candidates not to give Black Lives Matter any kind of concrete answers or solutions. No concrete answers or solutions. And because why? Because they cannot fix a problem that they benefit from. They have to keep racism stoked and going. And trust me, the Democrats have a long history with racism and the KKK. So they keep those fires stoked, right? because you got to scare minorities into voting Democrat. You got to scare people into thinking that the Democrats have a solution to this problem when they don't, and they absolutely refuse to do anything about it. We had a black president that didn't do jack shit for it. So what do you think Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or any of the other Democrats, Joe Manchin, are they going to do anything in racism? Absolutely fucking not. And anytime they introduce a bill or do something like that, it's just virtue signaling, because they don't have no intention of actually fixing anything when they benefit too much from racism. I mean, honestly, that's probably the only reason people even vote Democrat anymore, because they think, because they say pretty words, Democrats say pretty words about racism, that they think that they're doing something about racism, but they actually don't. They don't. 7 minutes. Yeah, trying to be fine said it took 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That's not a moment of insanity. That is not a word that I'm hearing nearly enough in media right now. Is they're not calling it murder. They're using all their rhetoric and all their violent rhetoric for the protesters, because they're the real violent ones. However, I mean, Target, they're going to spend months in a hospital and they have to plan a funeral. Oh, wait, they don't. They don't have to plan any funerals. Yeah, Independence, an anti-lynching bill. Jesus, that's like proposing anti-rape or pretty women bill. Yeah, I'm sure that's really going to give people a pause before they lynch somebody. Those big thinkers that lynch black people, they're going to stop and not do it because of that bill. It's just insane. We live in insane times. He didn't lose. Oh my God. That's that shit that makes my eye tick, right? Trying to be fine. NPR said he lost. He didn't lose it. It didn't go missing. It didn't go missing. Somebody took it. Somebody took his life. A police officer took it. It didn't go missing. Where did it go? No, the police have it. They took it. It's over there. Now he's dead. It's not missing. It's not missing. I mean, it's the inconsistencies. And this thing drives me up the wall more than anything else, is inconsistencies. Inconsistencies in the logic that is applied to the people, right? Now, you have same exact state. You've got the same town, Minneapolis, that had a policeman that killed somebody that went to prison for 12 years. Now, you've got this guy, and he better get 12 years at least. He better get 12 years at least, because we're going to be consistent with our police officers, right? Right. Now, we have protests that happened in Michigan with armed white people, insane armed white people. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have a reason to be upset, right? This COVID shit is making everybody go up the wall. It is. But that doesn't mean you get to show up with guns and threaten people at the Capitol. But what happened? What happened with that? Remember how many people got killed when white people stormed the Capitol with weapons? Oh, nobody got murdered. That's right. Nobody got murdered. In fact, everybody got to go home safe and sound. Now, protesters protesting against all this. So far, we've had the incident with the cop car, right? We've had a black man that was murdered. Again, another one on the list of people that are being murdered, unarmed being murdered. So, there's no consistency in the logic. Those are people that are Americans that are protesting. And then these are violent thugs, right? So which is it? And I've seen a lot of comparisons between this protest and the Boston Tea Party. Boston Tea Party, not too, I know the basic outline of it, but I'm pretty sure they just, what is it? They threw tea in the harbor, right? I don't think did they kill anybody then? Because nobody's getting killed now. So, and this is supposed to be like this horrible thing because a Target got looted. Yeah, NPR is trash, man. I'm just looking through the comments again. Just NPR is trash. I heard when I knew for a while that it is so hot in here. I don't have any air conditioning. I knew NPR was neoliberal, but the one I was still kind of picking through and seeing what I could find in the information until one day they did a story about a positive puff piece about how global warming is going to be really great for certain areas. Fuck. Let's see, Doc said, Convo Couch has video of the protest where the media tries to say it was the protesters' fault. The guy that got hurt riding the cop car. I mean, I saw one, and I forget who did it, but it was different angles of it, right? So you see the cop pull up, and most of the cops are over more towards the left, and the majority of the protest was on the right. So they were on the outskirts. But this dumbass just pulls up right into the middle of the people. Why would you do that? Why? He pulls up right into the middle of people and then starts accelerating. There was no reason for him. The only reason to drive through that crowd was to look for trouble. And sad to say that nothing will ever happen to that police officer. In fact, there might be something that happens to the person that got hurt. More than likely, they'll probably be the one that gets in trouble for it. Because they were out there saying, please stop killing people in cold blood. I mean, it's even from people I'm seeing that are supposedly on the left. I mean, I heard, oh God, I wish I could play this video for you. It's of Krystal on Uprising, and she condemned the protesters for doing what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, first of all, when's the last time you spent any time in that community? When's the last time you did anything like that? I mean, please tell me about how you are part of that and you know how they're feeling and what they should do. Okay? Please tell me. You know what they should do because you spend so much time in the Black community. You know, and then what's his I hope I'm saying his name right. Saagar. He goes on there and he starts saying, well, I hear people. I mean, he sounded like a right-wing nut job, man. He was going on there and he was saying stuff like, I hear people advocating for the abolishment of police. I've seen that a couple of times. But if you would ask the majority of Americans, they don't want to abolish the police. They just want to make them not racist and stupid. Just make police not kill people anymore. You know, I'm not saying, I mean, because police are necessary. There are moments when you are in danger and you need a police officer, but you need to trust that police officer is going to show up and help you and not start shooting people. No serious person is honestly like calling for the complete abolishment of the police system. It's a straw man. And even Krystal, after listening to him rant on about all this stupid shit, even she was like, that's a straw man. That's a straw man. That's a straw man. I mean, how do you even say this stuff? No, it's just, that's why my brain feels like it's about to explode, because I keep hearing an immense amount of stupidity on all kinds of sides about this. Dandelions are food. My bigger point is, instead of separating the protesters, be happy that there are people who will stand up against authority regardless of their color or lifestyle. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a dangerous thing. You're going into a city that just killed a man for existing, and you're going to protest in that city where there's other cops that are just like him. And that takes some balls, man. Like the people that are protesting right now, they are some serious tough motherfuckers. Especially people of color that are protesting right now, because there is nothing that is keeping them between a coffin right now. Seriously. I almost agree. I almost guarantee this cop will be charged with negligent homicide. They've charged him a third-degree murder, which is the least. Well, I think manslaughter is less than third degree, but third degree is like the least amount of time that, I mean, it's way less than something like a first degree or something like that. Yeah, he'll probably serve some time, but I mean, but this is right on the heels of there was a woman that was a paramedic that was murdered in her own home for no reason, right? They had a warrant that was served and they went to the wrong house. They served it on the wrong house or they went to the wrong house. Either way, you know, they stormed into this person that had nothing to do with any of that and killed her. And then right before that, you had the two fucking dumb fuck hillbillies that killed a man for jogging. And all this seems to be happening right after Joe Biden's misstep with the, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So they start calling him a racist for that. And now all of a sudden, the news media is seriously focusing on other races. They're going to point to any other races because this George Floyd incident, this is not a one-time thing. This isn't an anomaly. This happens I would say at least once a week. Maybe not every day, but at least once a week, somebody. It's way too often than it should happen. And that, oh my gosh, it's just overload. So let's go back down. I'm getting caught up with these chads. That cop should be in jail for attempted vehicular manslaughter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't usually watch The Hill, but I heard it the other day. It was like I let YouTube sit too long and it went to the next video or something like that. And it showed them. And I was just like, oh, it's just too much stupid in one video. It's just, I didn't know. I mean, because I've seen Rising on Jimmy Dore's show. I've met Krystal Ball once. You know, I've seen her talk about other things, and I didn't know that Rising was so far to the right, and that it was a part of the Hill. I didn't even know it was a part of the Hill, and the Hill, you know, is completely establishment. Some of those armed dandelions are food. Said some of the armed dudes from earlier came out to stand with the people and help protect mom and pop stores. That's good. That's good. Yeah, because I don't give a fuck if Target. Fuck Target, man. They got insurance for days. They got millions of dollars. They're gonna be okay. Target's gonna be okay. Advanced Auto Parts, they're gonna be okay. You know, but these mom and pop stores, from what I've seen, those. First of all, how many of those still exist? Second of all, I haven't seen anything that any of those places have gotten hurt. But you know, what do they expect when they push people so far for so long? Killing people just in broad daylight out in the street with witnesses. That's the same thing that they criticized Trump for, right? Because Trump said I could kill somebody out in Times Square or something like that and get away with it. And they said, oh gosh, you know, he could just do all these things and get away. He says he can do all this. Well, you know what? There's literally people right now getting away with it. Literally. Thousands of people every year. They get away with it. They just get away. The outrage for that when they are literally killing people. No. They use that outrage for the protesters. Yeah, into Fed. Rising is best quasi-mainstream news. Yeah, I've never sought them out before, and I saw that, and I was like, damn, Krystal. I remember when Krystal used to go on Jimmy Dore show. You know, she likes to talk a big talk, but then she go sit there beside Saagar, and when he says that shit, I mean, he should not be allowed in polite society when he says stuff like that. You know, and that's not. We keep looking to the Black community to lead us through this struggle and to find a solution. You know what? Maybe it's on white people because white people are the ones that are being racist right now. So maybe it's on us a little bit. I'm not the one that's going out and as a police officer and killing people and doing all this stuff. But you know what? They're not going to listen to Black people. They're not. If you're racist, by definition, you don't care what Black people are saying because you think for some stupid reason that they're lesser. So they're not going to listen to Black people. It's upon the white people. Please hold your friends and family accountable when they say some dumb shit. When they say shit like, why isn't there a White History Month? You know what? Just say, you know what? There's a good reason for it. And let me tell you. Or if they think it's okay to drop the N-word, or if they, say something about immigrants, we just got to hold our fellow people more accountable. And, there's some people out there that are great and they have wonderful friends that don't say this shit. That's cool. But I live in West Virginia, and it sometimes that stuff sneaks up on you. You'll know somebody for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you're watching a news program together and they say, well, you know how those blacks are. What? I cannot be friends with I cannot. Oh shit, I thought we were friends, and then you say some dumb shit like that. Can't. I'm out. Bye y'all. Can't. Cops are the corrupt protecting the corrupt. Exactly. They protect money. They protect capitalism. They make sure everything goes well. And if you cause a fuss, if you cause a problem, then we'll just send you to the slave shop, and then we'll go back. Either we're going to kill you or we're going to make money off of you. Either way. And that is absolutely bottom line what capitalism is. Either we're going to kill you or we're going to make money off of you. Either way, you are going to do something for capitalism, or you're going to find yourself dead. Enigmatic engineer. That's new. I'm seeing a lot of new people in here. This is great. I love having new people in here bouncing ideas off of. So after Katrina, National Guard took law-abiding citizens' guns and shot many. Trump now urging NG to shoot looters. I saw videos of teenage looters. Yeah, I've seen. I mean, the looters and the protesters, for that matter, have, like I said, they've been all ages, races, genders. Mandatory vaccines, public mandates to wear masks, but politicians don't. Yeah, the politicians don't wear the masks, do they? I know Trump don't, and Pence doesn't. Yeah. Vaccines, for the most part, I don't really have a problem with, but, I don't like having polio or tetanus or, what's that one with the lungs? Trying to think of that one. Anyway, yeah, I don't like having diseases like that, so I'm pretty cool with a lot of the vaccines. But when you have a vaccine that's being pushed through that hasn't been researched, and they're trying to force it through super, super quick and looking past the rules in order to get it through, you got a problem. I got a problem with that. Got a problem. Let's see. They're not going to listen to white people who stand with the black community. No, you're right. No, that's a good point, Dandelions. I mean, there might be some people you can get through. I think there's some people that there. I mean, of course, there's like degrees of racism, right? There's people that are full blown in the KKK, Aryan Brotherhood type people, and then there's people that are just like, well, you know how black people are. I think those are the people that friends and family can get through to about how stupid they are, but I don't think like full blown like Aryans, like that's just, pick your battles, right? You gotta pick your battles. I've had a few of these myself. Some people are just so far gone that they're not even, they don't want to listen. And I'm one of those people like, all right, I'm listening. Now I'm going to say my piece, which usually works pretty good, but people like that. And if you even throw any support behind the black community, that they'll just say, well, you're dead to me. I mean, my great uncle was like that. Yeah, he was an absolute asshole. And you know what? His loss, because he doesn't have any friends or family. So, how'd that work out for him? So the police need to be abolished. Peter and Moranchi, they are a criminal institution. See, that's the thing. We replace them with something new. So that's what I'm saying is like cops as we know it. Cops should, police should mean something else. Instead of like police meaning guns and force, police should mean a solution. Like they should be I don't know, they should be more diplomatic. They don't use words. They just show up and start shooting or show up and start arresting or, show up and start beating someone. I mean, there's no questions. It's just sad. Tuberculosis. Jesus, thank you. I even worked, I worked in the ICU. I kept thinking about tetanus. I kept thinking tetanus. I could not think of tuberculosis to save my life. All right, tuberculosis, the long one, you know. All right, veterans are asking the National Guard to stand down. Yeah. No, and I keep seeing people that act like badasses when they talk about, oh, well, the National Guard, you know, I've got my AK-47. I'm going to take on the national government. What they don't realize is when they deploy the National Guard, those are people in your state. Those are your neighbors. Those are your friends. Those are your family. Are you going to start shooting down people in your community? These aren't, you know, unnamed, you know, NPC characters, you know, faceless, you know, dummies. These are people that live in your community, and you're going to shoot and kill them? No, because that's what happened in the mine wars, right? We were protesting, we were blowing up, you know, trains and coal temples and all kinds of other stuff. So they were doing stuff like that. They sent in the National Guard, and guess what? Nobody wanted to kill people, except the National Guard did fly over and drop bombs on us. So remember that. And remember that the government is not above bombing their own citizens and killing them. So, you know, but the police force, it should be a police force. These are peacekeepers, but we can't call them peacekeepers anymore because that's not what they do. God, I can't believe I forgot tuberculosis. How many times I've been tested for that with all these healthcare jobs I've had, and I completely draw a blank on it. Don't call the cops unless you're ready for them to kill someone. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's what pissed me off so much about that woman in the park that was calling the cops on a man that was doing bird watching, right? She calls a guy and she goes, I'll tell them that you were threatening me. She knew what that meant. She knew exactly what that meant. She wanted a George Floyd incident to happen with this guy. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly the words to use. She knew exactly what to do, the inflection and the emphasis to put on. He's threatening me. A black man's threatening me. Oh, no. It's sick. Like, a guy asks you to put your dog on a leash and you think he deserves to be killed. But at the same time, the media wants us to focus on are all these little individual acts of racism, right? They want us to focus on the individual cop. They want us to focus on this crazy racist lady in Central Park. They want us to focus on, you know, the woman that didn't hire a black person in Georgia, right? Like, just different scenarios. But they never address the systemic issue of racism. They don't address the systemic issue of racism in the police community. They don't address it with when it comes to our politicians or anything else for that matter. They want to highlight all these little instances. Joe Biden's not racist, right? For all the things that he's passed and worked on in his life, he's not racist for calling, you know, saying you're not black, taking away someone's blackness because of their vote, right? That's not racist. But this woman shrieking in a park, you know, this stuff is racism. But when it comes to the system doing racist things, that's not racist. That's just the way we do things, apparently. But they won't talk about that. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the indiscriminate killing of brown people in the Middle East. Because fuck it, right? They're out there. They're guilty. That's the way they see it. Yeah, exactly. Peter says, Moranchi? I'm butchering her last name. Sorry. That woman in Central Park is guilty of attempted murder by a cop. Exactly. I mean, what is this? In the process of 1 week. This is like 1 week of racist shit, right? 1 week. 1 week of this. All of a sudden, Joe Biden makes a comment, and all of a sudden, we are just being bombarded. Not to say that it doesn't happen. It does happen. This happens all the time. But the media only decides to focus on it when there's an election. That's the only time that they will highlight any of this stuff is when there's an election, because they need those people to be scared to vote for the Democrats. That's it. There's no solutions. There's no answers. There's nothing being done by anybody except for the protesters. They're the only ones doing anything. But they're the ones getting criticized, not the cop, not the police department. And once the military provides equipment to the police force, they are no longer peaceful protectors. They're not. If they were, some of them would be on our side, but they're not. Just hearing the stuff out, just hearing explain this out gives some hope. Good stuff. Oh, thank you, Aaron. That's nice. Schulte, got Schulte here. True. Obama has droned our own citizens, fooling U.S. citizens of America in Yemen. One of them was only 15 years old. Oh, he didn't even get a chance to live. The drone took out 2 of his teenage cousins, too. Sickening. I mean, you don't even get a chance at life. I mean, look at Tamir Rice. I mean, he was 12. He didn't get to make any adult decisions. That wasn't an adult decision. He's 12 years old. He went out to have fun with his friends. He wasn't thinking like an adult. He wasn't thinking like, I need to survive. I need to make sure that I don't seem threatening because there might be a cop, that might take it the wrong way and I might get killed. Because he's 12 and he shouldn't have to think like that. And Black people shouldn't have to teach their kids how not to get killed. Okay? White people should be teaching their kids, hey, maybe just don't kill people. Maybe just don't be racist. Don't be an asshole. Stop killing people. It's not going to happen because it's a Black problem. If it's a Black problem, why am I seeing all these white cops going around and killing people? Why am I seeing all these white people going around and complaining about Black people and trying to get them killed by cops? If it's such a Black problem, why are we the assholes all the time? Yeah. Ronnie Gore, the cops are not your savior. They're the ones that will force the vax on you and take your guns. See, and look, me and Jimmy, we've been talking about this over at Manitalk. We've been talking about this. And I said, the cops, when the mandatory vaccines happen, they're not going to do it by force. I don't think they're going to do it. They're not going to show up to your house and take your guns and, shoot your dog. You know what they're going to do? Is if you want to buy groceries, you have to show your papers. You have to show your vaccination papers, or maybe carry a little card or something around. They're not too big on using force unless it's on a minority, which they know that they can get by with, right? When it comes to like the majority of people or like white people, they would probably make it more civilized, right? They would probably just do something like, if you want to buy groceries, or if you want to get healthcare, if you want to apply for benefits, if you want to do this, that, or the other, if you get pulled over in your car, you have to prove that you've been vaccinated so you can be out. So that's probably the way that they'll do things to try and force people into, doing the vaccine. Just the sleight of hand of power. They don't have to do. They can just do little changes to kind of manipulate you into doing stuff like that. So that's where I think that's going to go. Yeah, we can do a whole show just on vaccinations and the look. There's a lot of new people in this chat right now. So if you haven't had a chance, you can go check out my husband's YouTube. He does one. It's called Manatalk, MANA Talk. And he's goes really in depth with all this COVID-19 stuff and the science behind it and the people that are trying to take advantage of the situation, like, certain corporations and politicians and, things like that. So he's keeping a close eye on stuff like that. So if you have not looked at that, and I join him a lot. Most of the time when I do my live streams, I don't do a whole lot of live streams on here because I usually just jump in with him and talk. So you'll catch me a lot of times over on his channel too. So it's Monotalk with James Young. If you look it up on YouTube, I think it's just Monotalk. But anyway. So fuck Joy. He said, fuck Joy Reid and Kamala Harris and the fucking nerve to comment on Floyd. Yeah, Kamala Harris that was locking up people for truancy. When people burn down the stores, they won't enforce it. Law enforcement attracts the worst in society. They give guns. Yeah, exactly. It's like, here's your free pass for murder. Here's your gun. Here's your free pass for anything. Really, just so long as you just don't kill a lot of people at once, I think we can probably let it slide. So, it's your free pass for get out of jail free card, man. And it attracts the worst of people, just like politics. It attracts the worst types of people. The people that want to be president or congressman or in the House of Delegates, they have all the wrong reasons for wanting that job. We should, honestly, maybe we could do the same thing for police that we do for politicians. Like politicians, I say, make the job like jury duty. You're randomly selected. Make it really sucky. Like nobody wants to do jury duty, right? You're just randomly selected. You show up, you do your job, and then it's over. Well, maybe politics should be the same. Like, oh shit, I got to be senator for 2 years. Damn. Like I got to go in and make decisions and not get any fame and not make any money and just get in, get out real quick and dirty. And a lot less people want to do that. Charleston here. Steve Thomas. The corporate and police states are here. Are you Charleston, West Virginia or Charleston, South Carolina? That'd be cool if you were in West Virginia. As much as I talk about West Virginia, I don't have too many viewers that are from here. Chelsea, watching the 3rd precinct burn to the ground and blow up was rather satisfying. Yeah, I know. It's like you're destroying something, but you're not. Yeah, it's destroying a building, but it's not going to destroy the institution that's, implementing, murder by cop. But it is iconic to see, for sure. It gave me some hope that, people are fighting. Right, dandelions are food. You know what? I don't think I've ever been chosen for jury duty. It just doesn't show up. Damn, Steve, you're in West Virginia. That's awesome. We're gonna have to protest or something. Do something. That's awesome. I'm so glad. I want to reach people here in West Virginia, and I try my best, but we're a little isolated from the internet, so it's a little hard to reach people here. All right. So Peter says something's going on in Los Angeles right now. Probably. Fiorella Isabel is live streaming from there. Oh, good. Okay. People are pissed. They've had enough and they're way overdue. How was people in West Virginia? Honestly, I don't know. I've been holed up in my house, and it's not because of, necessarily quarantine, but I'm just a introvert. I am an introvert. As much as I deal with people, as much as I like to do this stuff, I'm a homebody. I like to stay here. I like to do my research, but lately I've been trying to get out a little bit more. So, I'm definitely talking to people when I have the chance. So the people with this, yeah, I'm going to start asking people about this because last time I went out, talked to people about the coronavirus, and every time go in somewhere, I'm like, are you getting your PPE? How are things going? Have you noticed any changes, or your business doing okay? Like, especially if it's an independently owned business, not like Walmart or anything, but I'll ask them, your numbers still about the same? You still seeing the same amount of people coming in, or has it slowed down? I try to ask questions like that. 2 blocks from the Capitol. I'm ready though. I'm high risk. Yeah, I know it sucks. My husband's the same way. We're both high risk. That was the problem I was having when I was working drive-throughs. I'm 32, and if I get coronavirus, I might have a good chance, I guess. But I have young kids, with Jimmy. I just don't want to. I wouldn't want to be responsible for getting anybody sick. So that's why I'm trying to be as careful as I can. Possibly cops ran a protest over a couple of days ago. Yeah, I don't know if I couldn't tell from the video if he got run over or if he just fell off, which that is no joke. Okay, when I worked in the ICU, we had a guy that thought it would be really funny. The car was going about 10, 15 miles an hour, real slow, right? And he thought it'd be real funny just to jump out the back of the truck. And he died because you can't brace yourself for, it's not like the movies. You don't just jump out and like, tuck and roll. I mean, that is some serious, trauma when your body hits the ground going that fast. And that cop probably was going about 20. If I had to guess by that video, I'd say he was going about 20 miles an hour when that guy fell off. I think it was a guy. But yeah, that's just, and it doesn't look like much when he falls off either. I mean, it's just like, oh, okay. It doesn't look like the car's going that fast, and it doesn't look like he got that hurt, but that's a head trauma. When your head bangs off that, going that fast, your brain's not ready for that. I mean, that could go wrong so easily. Jury duty got out of it somehow. Oh, I know. That's what I like about trying to be fine. Said this lockdown is giving people space to think about what their life is. And it really is. It really is giving people time to think, time to research, time to see what's important in their lives, because a lot of people have been wrapped up in the rat race, right? Like they've been trying to make that money, and now they're getting to stay home and spend time with their family. I mean, there's a lot of bad, there's some, domestic violence, child abuse and stuff, but there's some people that get home and they're just like, damn, why can't I have more of this? Why am I spending 90% of my life at a job that hates me and is treating me like shit when I got my family here? That's amazing. And of course they don't want to go back to work after that. Especially when unemployment's paying more than minimum wage does. And the people that were offering hero pay, like Kroger's and stuff, are already withdrawing that. Let's see who else we got. Shelty, West Virginians are double pissed for the way the big shots have treated us way in the past. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, they don't see us. They'll talk to coal miners, they'll talk to teachers sometimes, but the average person, I think the biggest job sector here, it isn't even coal mining anymore. You know what it is? It's teaching and service jobs like Walmart, Target, McDonald's, places like that. So coal mining is actually one of the least occupied jobs right now. Trucking is another big one. A lot of the coal miners that got laid off went into trucking. So, I'm not sure how. Yeah. So, I mean, we just always live at the whim of the stock market and capitalism. And sometimes coal does good and people have jobs, and sometimes it doesn't. And there's opiate abuse. Has the pandemic affected West Virginia much? See, that's the thing is with West Virginia, we have an majority. It's a retirement state, a lot like Florida. The average age here is about 45. The average person here is a 45-year-old male, right? It's not a state for young people. They tend to flee here as fast as they can. And so our state is the majority of elderly, and like half the people are on Social Security, right? So they're usually stay-at-home people. We don't have a whole lot of money or places to go, right? So it's not like we were all going out and going to the clubs and going partying and going to the beach, right? West Virginia, we don't have things to go to in the first place. So, but the problem is that we have a lot of diabetics, a lot of older people, smokers that have lung problems, things like that. So when that virus hits our state, it can be particularly devastating. So that's why I've been extra careful when I go out to make sure that, I don't transmit it to anybody, because it is such an elderly state that I don't want to take any risks. And that was the problem I was having when I was working at Little Caesars. I'm working drive-through. I'm having people cough on me. I'm supposed to be serving the next customer. Like, how am I supposed to do that and maintain the quality and make sure that these people don't get sick, let alone myself? But if I get somebody else sick, then that just spreads the virus. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? And they don't give you PPE. They don't do anything like that. I've totally shifted the topic of conversation to COVID-19. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, good. I'm so glad you reminded me of that, Michael. I went through my notes. to look about hybrid regime. What was the context that we were talking about that? Because I saw it in my notes and it said, look up hybrid regime. And then I looked it up on Wikipedia and I was like, what does this mean? So I was trying to find out the context so that way I could kind of translate this article a little bit. Oh, I do too, Zox. I have high social anxiety. I've gotten a lot better about it over the years because I'm just like, right, people, what are they going to do? Tell me I suck? So that's kind of the mentality I have about it now. It's like, well, if I'm wrong, they'll tell me. And, if I suck, if I'm an asshole, somebody will tell me, right? So that kind of helps a little bit. Plus, the more I do it, the easier it gets. Like at first, I would get so nervous, like I'd hyperventilate, like, oh, I gotta talk to people. But now it's just like, yeah, I've done it so many times. My body knows now that I'm not going to die if I talk to somebody. I'm not going to go into a panic attack now. I figured Zoc said, I figured it out after I got out of it by accident. Hold on. So I sent one the last day. They had already picked who they wanted by the time they got mine. You want to have it sent? I don't know the kind. Oh, Lucas is here. Hey, Lucas. Oh, I've been doing okay. Hanging in there. Hope you're doing good. I was going through my emails and I found one that you sent me from like 2 years ago about the podcast and stuff. I was like, damn. I dropped the ball on that. But I've been trying to get caught up on stuff. I was going through my emails. There was like 6,000 in there and trying to go through my emails and Facebook and get caught up on everything. But it's just like, there's just so much stuff to go through. I mean, between emails and messages and all this, it's just like, a lot of stuff just falls through the cracks. Jury duty. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was hoping Michael, whether America qualifies as a hybrid regime. Okay. All right. So I'll put that next to my notes because I looked it up and I was like, why was I looking this up? Okay. So when it comes to hybrid regime is when democratic institutions exist, but the oligarchy has so many levers that the only controlled opposition exists and the country functions as a de facto dictatorship. Oh, okay. So that's why we were talking about. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I did look it up. I looked it up because then I checked Twitter after about 2 years to see what was new on there. And I saw a message on there or a post or something where you said, hey, have you checked that out yet? And so that's why I went back through my notes. I was like, damn, I don't remember why we were talking about this. Okay, so I'll look that up again and I'll definitely look into that because that sounds like what we're doing right now. Oh, Lucas, you started your podcast. Oh, I started the podcast a few weeks ago when there still seemed like some hope, but now I don't know if I can continue it. Dude, hang in there. You are so smart. You are so good at what you do. You have no idea what you have to offer this world. Hang in there and just stick with it. Do you have a link or something that you can post so people can check it out? I hope so. Michael Mathern, what the system is also referred to is a second world country which is where the U.S. seems to meet the markers. Second, that's something you don't hear very often. You hear about first world countries, you hear about third world countries, but you don't really hear about second world countries. That's another one. It's a second world country. We'll look into that. Say podcaster posters, podcast in the notes. I'll send it to you. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it on Twitter and I'll put it in the notes. And also I will put links to the stuff that I wanted to show you, but didn't get a chance to. Oh, dude, Steve Thomas said West Virginia is a second world state. I don't even, buddy, we could talk. We could talk about this because I got some complaining to do about West Virginia. If you look through some of my older videos, like some of my original ones, my first ones, I talked a lot about West Virginia and propaganda. I mean, I railed real hard. And And I still do talk about West Virginia stuff, probably about half the time. But, try to balance it out with some national and, world politics every once in a while. Because you got to look at it. You got to look at state stuff is a microcosm. And then you got your national stuff. And then you got the international news, which is like the macrocosm, So you're seeing things on a larger level. But it's the same gears and stuff that operates on all the levels. But it's really interesting when you start watching news from all these different places and different focuses. Like you just see the same thing, like, oh, that happens here, that happens in my backyard, that happens in my neighborhood. New Zealand is where all the elites plan on going during the look. New Zealand is really pretty. That's where Lord of the Rings was. So I'm down with New Zealand. That sounds nice. Or Hawaii or anywhere else, pretty much. Oh, I love my state, but man, I could use a beach right now. Signs of a hybrid regime, the presence of external attributes of democracy elections. Okay, see, that's what I was looking at in the Wikipedia article, because it was like, it still has these things, and that's what I was getting from it. It was like, it still has all the functions, supposedly, of a democracy, but none of them actually work for the people, right? So it's just like a false hope type thing that they still control all that. Paula Jean, baby, isn't she getting ready to run again? Yep, she's running against Shelley Moore Capito, which guess what? Shelley Moore Capito's husband sits on the board of directors at Charleston Area Medical Center, which they own a lot of the hospitals in this area. One of the leading hospitals in cardiac surgery and trauma and everything else. And they just took away all of their workers' raises and bonuses, and they're not hiring people. They're not doing anything. They have completely shut down any kind of, they're not even matching 401k benefits. It used to be if you put in $1, they put in $1. They quit matching all that. And you know who sits on the board of directors? Shelley Moore Capito's husband, along with a bunch of other lobbyists, ex-politicians and lawyers and financial, brokers and things like that, which is exactly who should be running a hospital, right? Financial brokers, not doctors, right? Not doctors or nurses. No, that would be insane. But New Zealand is awfully pretty. It's a shame they're going to muck it up with all those billionaires. Oh, Susie Dawson. I love Susie Dawson. And Elizabeth, the one that she does, what do you know Elizabeth's last name? I've been trying to remember her name for a couple days now, and Elizabeth something, Susie Dawson. But they do amazing work, and they have stayed on topic when it comes to Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, and I mean even Susie's suffering for all the help that she's given us. Yes. Oh, okay. So yeah, Shelley Moore Capito is the late former Governor Archmore's daughter, and he's the one that went to prison for blackmailing coal companies, because that's the only way you go to prison, right? Not when you rip off the people, but if you rip off the coal companies, buddy, you're going to go to prison. Elizabeth Voss. Thank you so much, Zox. Elizabeth Voss. Voss. Okay. I know Jimmy's about ready to go out and visit his kids. And oh my gosh, I wouldn't love to put my toes in the sand. But we're going to go down because he hasn't been to the East Coast beach. So I'm thinking maybe we could try to drive down to like North Carolina or Florida or something. And so he can see the Atlantic. Yeah. Oh, and let's not leave out Joe Manchin in that, because Joe Manchin's uncle was also a senator, I believe, and he got charged with like embezzlement. He was something was wrong with the money, right? They were doing something with the money, and so he was impeached and he had to step down. O.G. Johnson, dude, man, it's been a while. Where have you been? Hope you're doing okay. I know you're up in New York. I hope you're staying safe. He should be. But you know what? What's the difference? Republican or Democrat, you're still bought by the same people and you're still going to vote the same way. So what's the difference between calling yourself a Democrat or Republican anymore? I don't even know. People calling for a third party, we need a second party. It's just insane. All right. So I'm going to call it. I've been on here about a little over an hour. I was going to keep it short, but you know how it goes. I always keep it short and go over an hour. So, all right. I'll see y'all next time. And I really appreciate all the input and information y'all been doing in the chat. No time for parties. Yeah. Jimmy is working on a website right now. It's called Vote Heard, voteherd.com, HERD. And he is trying to form a group of people right now that it's not a political party. It's not a political party. That it's about restructuring our voting system, reforming that, and reformation of our financial money in politics. So he wants to get money out of politics. It's just a group dedicated to getting money out of politics and fixing our voting system. So if you're interested in that, go to voteherd.org and check that out. But it's still in the process, so we're doing updates to the website and stuff. We just started it, so give us some time. If it's not working right now, it will be. And already I checked it out earlier today, and it's already looking pretty good. So it's getting there. If you want to subscribe to it, I'm not sure how the emails and stuff are working, but definitely check it out. It's just it's a non-political party group. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching and all your information. And I will definitely catch you soon. Bye.